Hello, this is Joe from Nerd in Korea. We are taking a look at Leonin now, continuing our budget exemplars series, so that we will get into. This is the first video of the series on the broadly useful ones. So what are we covering? I'm covering what I'm calling the exemplars. So these are creatures that have a high affinity for one particular color. We have already covered rats for black, goblins for red, merfolk for blue, we just finished. And now white, we're doing Leonin. I feel like I'm saying it really strangely, but anyway, what about Leonin? So they're a weird one. Again, first of all, their main color is white. That's very common for Leonin. We're gonna get into it though. So while being very common in MTG, do not have an actual creature type of their own. They're treated as a type of cat. So all Leonin, their creature type is cat, not Leonin. I feel like what they probably started making them and didn't realize how many they were going to make. And then they ended up with just like hundreds of them and went, oh, maybe we should have said something other than cat. It is kind of weird to call Leonin just cat. It's kind of like calling a human just to like chimpanzee or ape. Like, not really accurate, but I see where you're going. Anyway, so this is mostly kind of like a video on cats, I guess, yeah, or a series on cats, but yeah, trying to focus on Leonin at least. Cats in general are many colored, and the Leonin are definitely white though. So yeah. What do I mean by budget? I mean $2 or less, and I'm using the TCG market value. Not a sponsor, not one bit, nope. Honorable mentions. Okay, so Tethmos, I keep saying most. Tethmos, High Priest. Whenever you cast a spell that targets him, return target creature card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you can cast any spell on him, and you automatically just take something with mana value 2 or less, throw it straight back into the battlefield even. Not to your hand, to the battlefield. That's crazy. That's actually really, really good. I do want to point out, I don't think I read before, these are all 10 cents or less. So I think this is like 7 cents. 7 cents for something where you can just keep recurring things out of your graveyard just for casting spells you want to cast anyway. Yoy. Anyway, for Unfamiliar, it has Disguise for 1 and a white, or you can just cast it for a white and have it be a 1/1 and really nothing else. But yeah, so you can play it face down for 3 and then flip it over for its Disguise. The advantage there is really that they cannot be countered, right? Flipping over is an ability, or even it doesn't enter the stack. Flipping over doesn't enter the stack, so it cannot be countered by ability, things that counter abilities or things that counter spells. It just completely like skips over that part. So yeah, you're playing it much safer in general. So when it's turned face up, return another target permanent you control to its owner's hand and put a +1/+1 counter on this. Return a target permanent to your hand. It doesn't specify anything like, you know, target creature or anything, or a non-land permanent. I'm not sure why you'd want to return a land to your hand, but there's probably good situations for that, where this could be useful. And Gloom Shrieker. So it is 1 Golgari, or black-green. It has Menace for a 2/1 with Menace. That's, not great, but when it enters the battlefield, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand, and if it would die, exile it instead. Okay, so this gives you recursion right away, which is always nice to have, but if it dies, it's just out of the game. So especially if you can do like a blink with it, that's very, very good, because you're going to be able to just get a whole bunch of permanents. Even a lot of similar abilities will specify, like with the High Priest here, creature card with converted mana cost 2 or less, and this is just any permanent back to your hand, right? So it is back to hand, not to the battlefield, unfortunately, but it's any permanent you want. that can be useful in so many decks. But yeah, the downside, of course, being it gets exiled if it dies. Yeah. This is another one where I ended up doing a double honorable mentions because there's so many good ones that kind of don't fit into any of my other categories. Anyway, Diamond Lion, you can tap to discard your hand and sacrifice this. Okay, so already that's getting, you gotta discard your hand. There's many decks you're gonna have where you probably don't, maybe you don't want to have cards in hand, or you've got a lot of madness or something like that where you can take advantage of discard. So there's a lot of ways to make that valuable. And yeah, add 3 mana of any one color, activate as an instant. Okay, so again, you're taking 2 colorless mana and basically converting it into 3 colored mana, which is very good to begin with. The downside, of course, being discarding your hand is the main one. You've got to have a very specific deck for that to be worthwhile, I think. But yeah, it could be, definitely. Especially if you can recur Diamond Lion and just keep doing it to make the mana over and over again. So you can pretty much tap a Soul Ring and then play this and then use that to like create 3 colored mana is the idea. Anywho, Keeper of Fables. This is like one of my go-to cards. I'm actually building a deck right now. I should put this in. I just realized. Whenever 1 or more non-human creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. So this is going to draw a lot of cards, right? Especially if you've got any kind of like evasion or unblockable creatures, they're going to just keep triggering this over and over, and you're going to be probably set for card draw as long as he's on the battlefield. Anyway, he's 3 green, so he's not cheap, but he is a 4 or 5. And finally, Healer of the Pride. I think she's actually a Leonin. Cat Cleric for 3 and a white. And whenever another token or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 2 life. This is an effect that you see on a lot of cards, where it's like creature enters the battlefield, gain 2 life. This does not specify non-token creature. That's one important thing. So any kind of life gain strategy, you can really get a lot out of this card. Anyway, these are all under 25 cents now. All under 25 cents, so that's pretty dang good. Or 25 cents or less, sorry. I think Healer Pride is 25 cents. Alms Collector, okay, number 1. It does have Flash, and it's 3 and a white for a 3/4, and if an opponent would draw 2 or more cards, instead you and that player each draw a card. This is very much a counter, right? If you're especially in a multiplayer format, there's probably going to be a deck at the table that's going to draw a whole bunch of cards. You're going to kind of not completely shut that down, but you're making it into like your advantage rather than their advantage, or you're balancing out the advantage. It's yeah, especially against blue decks, I feel like this can do a lot of work. Anyway, 42 cents. Leonin Abunus, I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Artifacts you control have hexproof. If you've got like, especially providing hexproof to all equipment is very useful for many decks, especially Boros equipment or artifact creature decks, right? If you've got artifact creatures, this protects all of them. If you've got a bunch of equipment, you should have this just so they don't get like targeted down. Anyway, 108 for that. Armored Guardian. So this came up when I searched cats, so I think it is supposed to be a cat. It doesn't really look like it, but okay. Anywho, it is 3 and white-blue, so yeah. The main thing I think this is great for is the first ability. Okay, 1 white, target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn, and for 1 blue, can't be the target of spells or abilities, basically hexproof, right? We call it hexproof now, so he can give himself hexproof. But the main thing is giving any creature protection from color of your choice. That can be a pretty key part in a lot of win cons. If your commander can do a decent amount of commander damage, even if you can, put double strike on it and get a few +1/+1 counters, protection from color of your choice, and then just attack, right? Remember, if a creature has multiple colors, protection from one of those colors is protection from the creature, right? So if a creature is like a 3 color, so let's say Esper, like black, blue, white, if you give it protection from black, that will make it so the creature cannot block or do anything to that creature. Just does all kinds of work. Also defensively, it's amazing because, if someone's targeting your commander with like target removal or something, you just use that on your commander and give it protection from that color, and boom, the spell fizzles. Essentially, it's a counter spell then. Anyway, 31 cents. Prowling Serpopard. I had to practice saying Serpopard so many times. I did it though. Yay! Anyway, 1 green. This spell can be countered and makes all of your creature spells uncounterable. Or it can't be countered. Uncounterable sounds like a wrong word. Too many syllables. Anyway. For 193, there's so many decks that really do need an effect like this. If you're doing any kind of like creature heavy deck, I would do this just for safety. Anyway, as I said, 193. Set's Tiger. This is actually, I think, the cheapest thing on the list here, or of the top 5. It does have flash, which is very, very important, and it is 2 and 2 white, okay? For a 3/3, and when it comes into play, you gain protection from color of your choice until end of turn, so you can't be the targeted, dealt damage, or enchanted by anything of the chosen color. This is just like a save your own butt card, right? Especially because it has flash. You can flash this in response to something. Again, it's doing that kind of like protection from color acting as a counter spell is what I want. But even if, like, let's say someone's got a whole bunch of green elf creatures they're attacking you with, put this down and it cancels, say, protection from green. All of the green things can't target you anymore. Like, you just disappear. So you can shut down something that will make you lose the game. You can just shut it down and be like, nope, that's not happening. And then basically just cancels other people's attacks. It cancels spells. It cancels anything that are abilities. It just really decides to, like, no, I'm not going to lose right now. It's such a trying to find a word that isn't too bad. Such a mean thing to do, I guess. If someone's about to win, you just snatch it out of their hand at the last second. Anyway, 21 cents. The List. Alright, Alms Collector is 42 cents. Leonin Abunas, 108. I still feel like I'm saying it wrong. Armored Guardian, 31 cents. Prowling Serpopard at 193. And Set's Tiger, 21 cents. Yeah, it is the lowest one. And I think people might look at this and underestimate just how awesome that is. In the right situation, it's basically the same as, what is it called? Teferi's Protection, right? You're just taking yourself out of the game. Basically, if someone's got a mono color deck and they're coming at you, you're just like, yeah, I'm out. Anywho, take it easy.